Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jim and Sam Town Square. We have another very special episode for you guys. It's part 2 with Troy, Quan. I'm Scott King. Jim and Sam fans know me from the Forbes articles I've written about the guys, and I'm joined, as always, by multiple Emmy Award-winning television producer Chris Cangilla. Chris, Troy was awesome in both interviews. It's great to share the second one.
You know, he was, and it's incredible because, Scott, Troy was honest, and he always is honest on the show, but he also just kind of, was truthful in everything that's happening, and how the relationships on the show work, how his life has kind of evolved, how Jim's life has evolved, and Sam's role in putting everything together. It's an honest interview. We had fun. We talked music. It's good, and I'm so glad that he was generous with his time to give us part 2.
It was, and we even heard a little bit about Travis, gave Travis his due and his role. So we really covered everything in both, the second part for sure.
Yep. So it's great. We want to bring it to you right now. Here's part 2 with Troy Quan in the Town Square.
Troy, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us again here. We talked a lot about your music and a lot of great Jim and Sam stuff already. I want to keep going with a little bit of Jim and Sam. On Thursday's show, you might have thought you were out of the woods with the Bobby Lazar's talk. It came back, and I think it seemed like you and probably some of the audience, like a little drop in your stomach, like, oh, more. And then you guys got into it, and like, I'm going to listen to the whole thing because it's always everyone's angles and how ridiculous the guy is, but also maybe there's something there. Like, are you still up for those discussions, and are you still fascinated by that guy?
I think Bob Lazar is great. I think he's, I think he's cool. I think he's telling the truth. Jim does not feel that way. He feels that he's a fraud and he's a liar. We've gotten into it so many times, so sometimes I just go like, oh, I don't feel like doing this right now. And then like Sam, this is why Sam is a master, because then he'll be like, he just knows where to keep hitting, and then is all right, fine, we'll talk about it. Like it kind of becomes one of those things, So yeah, I mean, it just, it is what it is. I mean, like I kind of feel like, oh man, are we boring people? Because it's like it's the same conversation over and over and over again. Like, so I don't know. I'm glad that you guys enjoy it. It feels sometimes a little repetitive to me, but I guess it's funny. It's funny just to hear people argue. Is I guess what it is.
Does the sound clip where you say that Bob is BS, does that haunt you? Can you remind me how you were coerced into saying that?
I probably said it like.
You're probably frustrated at the conversation going so long. Like, fine, right?
Or Sam was leading you on to say, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I think it was probably more like, all right, let's say that Bob Lazar is, and I think, they just take that little clip.
Yeah. Do you have to edit that and put that together yourself? Like, here.
No, those guys, they'll figure, if it's against me, they're the ones that'll figure it out and get it. So yeah, I think that's probably how it came about. I don't really remember, because that was like almost, I want to say like pre-pandemic. I mean, that was like right whenever that Bob Lazar documentary came out. So yeah, but Jim doesn't tend to necessarily, he'll never believe into any of those conspiracy theories. So I guess it is just funny, and I tend to just like to ruffle his feathers a little bit, about like kind of getting into it with him a little bit, but it's all in good fun.
Speaking of Jim, we were talking about this a little bit for this week's recap. You've obviously known him for so long now, going back to O&A and seeing those days and how he is now. He seems really happy now. His gigs are going great. He's selling out a ton. Seems very happy with his girlfriend. Did you get more of like an angry Jim early on? But I think he's still as funny now as when he was angry Jim too. Just kind of like what you think of his evolution and where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's just I don't know if I know anybody that's as quick as Jim. I mean, he's razor sharp. And yeah, I guess it's just it's just fun to see the evolution of somebody, especially when you see him every day and you hear I hear like an old Jim clip, and I'm like, wow, like he's angry and aggressive, and now he's like kind of just jolly and just fun, just like very low key. And so yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of his even before the show. So to be able to work with him and see the evolution firsthand is pretty cool. So
Do you think that maybe a little bit of your lives are parallel, where Jim a little angrier, a little bit more, I wouldn't say destructive behavior, but a little bit something that probably wasn't always, and maybe that parallels your life a little bit. So you both are kind of in a different spot right now.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it is funny the things that parallel with me and Jim. It's either like we're a lot alike, or we're polar opposites. So it's funny. Like he'll say like I have to get up and urinate, 5 times,
Drop of the
6
hat.
times a night. I'm like, yeah, me too. Like that kind of stuff. Like I have to do this. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just
it's funny.
like Scott and I were talking in our preview episode. I'm closer to Jim's age. I think we're a year or two off. Scott is closer to Sam and Travis's age. So
We're a
it's
couple years
we
older.
come from different perspectives. You're kind of wedged in the middle there a little bit. So when Jim talks about those old men things, I'm there, and all the 80 movies and the 70s movies that none of you guys even heard of. I'm right there. And then of course Scott just brings it home when he's talking about the 90s and the rap and all the hip hop stuff that he loves there. So it's right in his wheelhouse too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on.
Getting to your guys' kind of temperament, Troy, I remember like so vividly. It was like the way you talked about it was so fascinating and honest that during the pandemic, like you had just your anxiety was bad. You had it with New York, and you're like, man, I got to get out of here. And then obviously you get to Florida, things turn around, and I think now you're saying, well, you're doing yoga and stuff. So how's that kind of evolution for you going, and what have you done?
Good. Well, yeah. I mean, the pandemic really kind of messed me up. It made me want to be away from people and disconnected and kind of, I don't know, like a paranoia, And going into this new year, I had kind of hit my, like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like I have to change. I have to change mentally. And so I've been religiously doing yoga. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I did a 90-day challenge, so 90 days consistently of yoga. And it's just it helps. I mean, it just calms me down. Sometimes it's just crazy, and then just like you just kind of almost tire your body out. So it's like I don't know how that works, but it just, you make yourself almost like relaxed, and you just think clearer and slower and calmer, and you think through things, as opposed to, I'm very reactive a lot. So like I'll react to stuff, and it's like it's not necessarily the best way to be. So I found more peace and inner happiness by and like I try to get a good night's sleep. I try to do a lot of things that kind of help my mental health. So
Yeah, it's definitely, important to do that, especially, if you're in stressful situations, as it can happen in the work that we do.
yeah.
I got to ask you this question. They've been talking about your legendary status a lot. Does that truly bother you? It seems to bother you on air, but if it does, and I'm sorry if I'm going into charted territory that you don't want to go into, but does that bother you for real? Or is it just like, it's just, I'm tired of talking about it?
It was like, the problem is you let Sam know that you're like, hey, like I'm kind of over talking about this. Like
you don't want to telegraph that, yeah.
Yeah, like we've gone down this road, Sam. Like I don't know what else you want me to say about it, and then he just has to keep hitting and keep hitting. So it's funny. I don't care, but he just knows, like, it's like I don't know what else we want me to say. Like, okay, like we've talked about this, right? I've been telling these stories on the air for 15 years. Like, where do you want me to go? And having you evolve and you grow up, and I'm engaged now, so it's it's a little bit, things are different. So
it wouldn't. I don't think if you didn't reach that level that Sam would find as much joy bringing back to the old days. If you were still in that, it wouldn't be a story. But now that you're in this different part of your life, he wants to kind of needle it and poke the bear and stir it. I mean, he is the best stirrer in the whole business, right?
Oh, he's the best. There's no better starter of trouble than Sam Roberts, for sure.
You're talking about where you're at now. I think you've always kind of been the calm guy on the air and have great perspective. There was one time I thought you lost your cool during a certain Halloween party, and I'm just wondering. And you came back and you admitted it. You said, I should have, whatever. It shouldn't have bothered me that much. But what was it about S-Loaf dressing up as you for Halloween that really kind of got under your skin?
I guess it was more like there was so much incompetence in his work ethic and what he could do, where it was like who are you to do this, you know? But behind the scenes, Travis and Sam were kind of like, no, you should do that. That's what you should do. So, you know, it's just, you know, hey, look, at the end of the day, you know, is it funny radio? Are people entertained? You know?
Yeah.
100%.
Yes. Was it on the same lines as when Dennis did the beep bop boop boop with the radio?
Great question.
Tube.
Yeah, that was just like, Dennis and I had like I don't know, like a weird relationship where, like, you know, we were cool, but like it was just, you know, I don't know, a little weird. And I was like, okay, I'm going to really make an effort this Christmas to really
get him, know him and get to,
I'm going to find a cool gift for him. I'm going to give it to him. And I'm going to say, hey man, like almost like a peace offering. Like, hey man, let's be cool. And then he just started making fun of it. And then he was more excited about a Wendy's gift card.
Yeah. That anybody could have given him.
Yeah, and if it was like $10, right. He was like, "Ooh, this is great." I was like, I got him like this thoughtful gift.
And as Sam would probably say, well, you're both DJs, so you should be. Yeah, you're not the same at all.
Yeah. But I love Dennis Falcone. He's a great guy. So
sure, he brought a lot to the show.
Sorry to hear about his layoff.
Yeah.
They have a lot of people go, unfortunately. So
absolutely. Let me ask you about the way, like, I do this too, and you know, the kind of the core crew you guys have now on Jim and Sam. Something I like to do is go back and kind of listen to how you guys kind of all started with O&A on YouTube and like look at key moments and listen to it. It's so fun. I'm curious if you do that, or if you do that with like Patrice, or like, do you go back and go get down a Opie and Anthony rabbit hole at all?
I can't listen.
Really?
Listen. Yeah, no, I can't. It's almost like PTSD. Almost. I know that sounds weird.
No, I understand from your perspective.
You know, it's just like I was just too close to it. It was just weird. It wasn't. I look back. It's like I said. I look back at certain moments of that time with Sam, time with Club Set of Kenny, some bits, some funny things that happened on the show. I look back at those fondly, but there's a lot of it that was just really dark and just not fun to deal with behind the scenes. So sometimes I'll hear a clip or something. I'm just like, nope, we're not listening to that. You know, and I know I don't know if that's weird, but yeah, I definitely do not go back and listen to any. I don't like hearing my own voice. So I probably won't even listen to this podcast when it comes.
I hate my own voice too, but do tell your friends to listen, please. The thing that I like, and sure, any workplace has disagreements and there could be some tension along there, but it really seems that everybody, you 5 guys that are working on this show, do care about each other, have great working relationships. There's a great division of labor. You cover for each other. It seems like it's a healthier place. Am I right there, or you can just, you know, lie to me and tell me that I am?
No, 100%. 100%. I think with the hosts, they know how to work with each other. They know how to play off each other's strengths. I think with the show structure, I think Travis does an excellent job at running it. You know, he's the executive producer. So, and everybody understands their role and appreciates the other. I think that's what it comes down to. And you know, like everybody brings something cool to the table. I mean, you know, Mike Montone, you know, when he got added to the show, you know, like he has like more of a reporter side. And that was an interesting take on it. And with Mike, I mean, his vocabulary sometimes is so funny, and just the words that he pulls and puts together, and you know how he phrases things sometimes, it's just hysterical. So
there's an intelligence there. I think there's an intelligence
in
his vocabulary and his writing.
For sure. Yeah. And he's a brilliant writer. You know, some of those bits, like if you hear like a bit, like sometimes during commercial break, like he'll write that, and like some of that
the recaps that he does. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because you guys do get along so well. Do you think that any additions to the staff would kind of throw off that balance? I know Soraya was in a lot, and then when she's in, it's like I don't hear enough from you guys, and I think she's great, but I mean it's kind of like a good balance when everybody's there.
Yeah, I think it's, and that's the good part is like kind of knowing where your spot is. Do you know what I mean? Like, just chiming in just for the sake of chiming in just doesn't make sense. Like if it's something I know about and I can talk about, some Travis knows and he can talk about, I think it's just kind of waiting your time, and that way, like, cause like if you try to like crowbar into like every conversation and make it about you or taking a weird, like you almost got to let those two, Jim and Sam, kind of steer it where it's going to go. And then you have to just jump in where you can and then jump out, and
I think the listeners would hear that if you're trying to squeeze something in and that you're trying to make yourself a star rather than when you guys do it, it's something substantive and you do contribute, and it's cool that way for sure.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And I think it just takes years of knowing, some people, like Sam knowing what like I can contribute and kind of asking me a question that he can then play off of and then spin it into where he wants to go with it, or stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just, and it's knowing like, where to fit in. Where's your spot to get in,
When you first heard that Jim and Sam was going to be a show and you knew who was involved, did you say, okay, me, Travis, Jim, Sam, that's a show, like because your guys' history? Like, did you know you guys were going to have a good show and a good rapport, or did that still take a while to get there?
Yeah, were you concerned at all when it first launched? Like, is this going to work?
Well, I had gone to do Sam's night show, and it was so much fun. I mean, it was that nobody cared about us. Nobody paid attention. The show was on.
Cared. We listened. Yeah. We cared.
Well, nobody from management. I mean, they literally,
enough.
we were on this lost island and it was so much fun. And Sam was literally like, whatever you want to do, like, let's do it. Let's bring in weird rappers or weird people or whoever, just tell them to come by, and it was so much fun. So when it was like, okay, it's going to morning, it's going to be in Jim and Sam, I knew it was going to be great because Jim is great. And I knew that those two together is going to be really good, but it was a little bit of a bummer going to mornings just because like we had this like awesome night schedule. But like that was really the only thing that was kind of like a little bit like, oh man, like we're adjusted to nights here. This is great. We're on our own island. Now it's like, but then it became, when it started happening, it was like, okay, this is awesome. This is a really cool show. So, and then, just the more you get to know each other and I think the better the show became too, like just knowing each other's strengths and creating storylines and going back to storylines. And that's, I think that's what makes the show great.
Can I ask a question? Booking the show, is that who's doing a lot of the guest booking right now?
Well, Sirius has a talent. They have a talent booker. We had Roland for O&A all the way, and he left, and then they have a talent booker that's kind of rotating a couple people, but then it's usually between Sirius talent and then Travis will bring in the comedians. He'll book comedians. So like when you hear Ian, that's through Travis.
Unless there's train trouble.
Yeah. Unless there's train trouble, but that seems to be Ian's thing is train trouble. I don't know why he just doesn't leave earlier. That doesn't make any sense to me, but he always delivers every time he's on. He's always
Ian.
For sure. Yeah.
So I want to keep you in that kind of Zen space you're in. I don't want to pull you out of it, but I got to ask you, what ticks you off or rubs you the wrong way the most about Mr. N.D.T. Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I guess it's just he comes across very pompous to me. It's just annoying to me. I mean, I don't really, at the end of the day, like it is whatever. It is what it is. It's just fun to kind of rag on him a little bit, He does have that like kind of looks down at you for being less smart than him, So it kind of it's just fun to just rip on him, And I feel like since I started kind of ripping on him, I feel like there's other people that have been jumping on it, So I kind of leaning into it a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's whatever. It's just fun. Just goofing around,
Yeah,
the
last time he was in, did he have limited time? Because I think that there's, I think you guys are talking about there's like feedback on Twitter that everyone wanted to hear you go at him, but like, did they say, oh, he's got to be
Troy,
somewhere
step
else?
out for this interview.
Yeah. You remember that working that way or no?
That was, he only has a window.
Yeah.
He has a window of time, and I kind of like, my feeling is like I've gotten into it with him before. We've done it, so it's like, do we want to keep doing it? If I have something to say, I'll say it. But yeah, it's more like I don't know. I feel like we've done it, so it's like why do it again? Unless I had something to hit him with, but
sure,
to just rip on him, And you know what the problem is too is like he comes in and he's like he's actually a very nice guy, to come over and shake your hand, and so it's kind of hard to have like anger towards the guy that like comes over and shakes your hand. He's like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
It's like what Jim says, like if you're angry with somebody in the car and then that person gets out of the car and says, I'm so sorry. I apologize. You're like, oh God.
Diffuse the situation.
Yeah. Let me pivot.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I do like that because I like Dr. Michio Kaku a lot. I think he's great. He just had a great Rogan appearance. And so I like now that I'm trying to create these teams, like it's this team against that team. It's
pick your
Michio
sides
against Neil deGrasse Tyson. So like I'm team Michio. So
we know where Jim is because the elevator.
Yeah,
always get scared. Always get scared. Yeah. Let me ask you more about music because that's what I care most about. I love this Jim and Sam show, but it's nice to talk to somebody who has a love for it as well. There's a couple of documentaries that I absolutely love. I want to know if you've watched them, your takes on them, that kind of thing. There's one about Muscle Shoals and the musicians that played backup for a lot of the guys there. Have you seen that one?
I have not, no.
Okay, I recommend that one to you. What about the Wrecking Crew in California?
Wrecking Crew, yes.
Love that doc. Okay, yes. So that one's a lot like the Muscle Shoals one. How about 20 Feet from Stardom? Have you seen that?
I don't think so, no.
That's a really cool one. That's talking about these incredible backup vocalists that work with the Stones and other bands where they are incredible on these tracks and you don't know who they are because they're 20 feet from stardom. They're right behind the big guys. Another one I recommend. And then I don't know your take on him. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure about my take on him, but Mark Ronson has this Apple TV series that is incredible because he goes back through the history of music and he looks at, the 808 and all these things that came about and when they came about. Have you seen that at all?
I haven't. I love Mark Ronson. I would definitely check that out. I would check all of my. Yeah, please send me over those because I'd love to see them. No, I'll definitely check that out. That's Mark Ronson's. I would put him up there with, production geniuses. I mean,
that's nice to hear because a lot of people and probably me at the beginning would think that, oh God, he's kind of cheesy and I don't know if I like this guy and the hair and the whole thing, but I do like his tracks and I like the stuff he's worked on. So it's nice that somebody like you who's done it yourself that also kind of likes him a lot too there. So
yeah, he's incredible. He does he's did he's obviously the Amy Winehouse stuff is
sure
what he did with her. And even I remember I was like in the late 90s, this girl Nick Acosta, I think she was the daughter of Don Costa, who did a lot of Frank Sinatra's music. And I saw this like this thing, I guess he does like a master class or something. I saw Mark Ronson do, and he was playing through these samples, and it was that song. And I look back, I'm like, oh, he produced that Nick Acosta song, like, and it was from like late '90s. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. So he just goes so deep in what he's doing that you're just like, man, I didn't even know he was a part of this.
Do you feel the guys that are successful have a respect and appreciation of all what came before them and an understanding of that to make themselves good? They, if you're going to be good at this and how Led Zeppelin and how John Bonham's drums were played, and if you, of course, like me, are a big fan of Rush, how the time signatures and how that kind of stuff is that makes you good in your genre of music. Do you think? Have you taken that kind of too, your love of Elvis and your love of the Beatles into the music you make?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you just, from production to, lyrical to, simplicity sometimes, like sometimes you just want to keep piling stuff on. So I was saying about like Timbaland and Pharrell, like, like you listen to some of their production, like there's nothing there. It's just the best sounds, and you have to just study like how did they get that? How did they do that? Or, Rick Rubin, like
sure.
just incredible, like working with the Beastie Boys to Slayer to Johnny Cash and like all over the place. And he doesn't even play any instruments. He doesn't even know how to, it's just his ear and just understanding that. And
it was like with McCartney in that documentary. And I know he played bass, obviously, but just his bass lines, it's just like he's not theory. He's not trained like that. He just likes the sound of what he's doing. And their bass lines are intricate, or what a word I'm trying to say. I have some issues sometimes, like you do, Troy, where I don't say things exactly how they want to come out. But his bass lines are complicated. Yes. And you would think, did that complication come from just him doing something, or have people realize that they're complicated? Because it's a weird thing, right?
Yeah, you don't know how did he get to that? How did he come up with that? How did he get to that point? It's funny because you'll hear like stories and stuff. It's literally just him. Like I don't know if you watched Get Back, but like he's just sitting there strumming, and he figures out Get Back, and you're like, I mean, that's just that's how.
I don't think we've ever seen a song written in real time before.
It's incredible. I mean, I get chills just thinking about it. You're like, that's a master at work. Like you're watching him create this in real time. And I think, if you love music and appreciate music and you write music and produce music, you should study what came before you and pay attention to what's happening now. I mean, that's, sounds change and, you hear something, wow, what's that sound? What is that? Like, oh, like I was at a restaurant the other day and I heard this song and I was like, this song is so good. What is this? And luckily, I use Shazam is such a great tool. And it's this like synth pop band from New York that has no followers, and I fell in love with just hearing this song in a restaurant. And so, I think it's just staying a fan of music and wanting to just absorb it any way you can,
Well, thank you for indulging me in my music notes. I'm going to start a new podcast. We'll just be with you, and we're talking
that'd be
music
awesome
throughout the
that'd be, I love that. Yeah, that'd be great.
There you go. Scott?
I think I just got one more Jim and Sam question. I want to give Travis his due. Like I said about you guys, he's so good at his on-air contributions when he chimes in, but it seems like he's kind of taken on more and more responsibility as the show goes on. Is that the case? And how do you think he handles that?
Yeah, I think he has. I mean, and it's funny is he steps up and does a great job. I mean, he really is a good producer. And when they rip on him, it's just goofing on him because and it is fun to sometimes he'll screw something up. So it's always fun because
and he's smug.
Really good. Yeah, he is a smug
he could be Essie.
Yeah. But he does an excellent job. He really is a good producer.
What are some of those like kind of tasks that he juggles behind the scenes?
I mean, just any of the like logistics with the studio, booking guests, organizing the notes for the guys and organizing, they're having an author in, so making sure the guys get the books and making sure that Jim and Sam get they see the screener, they see the movie that the people are coming in to promote, and those kind of things.
Just rose from the ashes there.
Yes,
Mr. Toots did. Hey, it's cool because a show that doesn't seem like there's a lot of preparation and a lot of following a rundown, if you will. That stuff is part of the rundown, right? Giving the guys all the things that they need to do to be successful in it. But my favorite part is, and I've told this to Scott many times, I don't need guests. I just need you guys talking about current events and stuff that happened over the weekend. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's mine too. Yeah.
No, I think so. When you guys rap, it's amazing. Obviously, the interviews are always great, but yeah, when you guys just talk, it's like so organic and interesting and hilarious. And that's all I got, Chris. Yeah.
Before we let you go, I got two things. First of all, are you DJing or playing anywhere soon over the summer that people can come see you?
I'm actually playing. When does this air?
This will probably go this weekend. Maybe I'll try to get it on tomorrow.
I'm playing tonight here in New York City. So I'm playing New York City, and then nothing booked as of yet. But the summer.
Should they follow Instagram to see where you're going to pop up?
Yeah, Real Black Caviar on social media, and or you can follow my personal one, Troy Quan, spelled with a Quan. I post like where Black Caviar will be performing, and you can find everything there.
Excellent. Well, Troy, yeah, we can't thank you enough for being
Oh
our
yeah.
first guest on here. And it's wonderful for you to support the show. I mean, we're just two guys having fun. We kind of did this just because, we knew 10 people might listen, but we like talking about the show. We do it anyway over the phone, so we might as well do it here. And it's nice that you gave us some of your time. And of course, we hope that maybe down the road you'll come back to the town square.
Yeah, and I want to say great job, guys. We love it, and we appreciate you doing it. And it's a great job to you both. I mean, I appreciate you listening and doing the podcast. This is awesome. And then, thanks for having me come by.
Oh, thanks so much for jumping in, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks again to Troy Quan for an amazing interview that we were able to break into 2 parts for you guys. He was just so thoughtful and honest and funny. And man, it was great to talk to him, Chris.
Yeah, it really was. And it's nice when you meet people that you like their work, the entertainers, and they're true to how you see them, how you hear them on air. He's a good guy, resourceful, interesting, and sweet. And I really enjoyed having the opportunity to talk to him. And I hope that we have more opportunities to talk to guys on the show, as well as others that are fans like we are of the Jim and Sam show. So please, if you're out there, come join us in the town square.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Jim and Sam Town Square. Please remember to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell, not Doug Bell, so you don't miss an episode.
And if you're just listening to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it.